Hey guys, to celebrate hitting 80,000 subscribers, I'm going to explain what you need to make YouTube videos in the same way that I do. A few of you might remember that I promised to do this video a couple of months ago, and while it took me longer than expected to get around to it, we are finally here people, and I'm going to explain everything there is to know. Before we begin, I feel like there's two important disclaimers that I should mention. The first thing is that everything I show you in this video is what I use to make content right now, but this was definitely not always the case. For many of my early videos, if you go and take a look back at them, the audio quality especially is just terrible, and that is because I didn't have a legit external microphone. Everything about it was just low quality, but over time I've made different improvements in certain areas, and as the channel began to grow, I improved on those improvements, which is all built up to what I use to make videos today. And for the purposes of this video, to not waste anyone's time, I won't be covering anything that I've used along the way. I'm specifically talking about the stuff that I use right now. Secondly, the other important thing is this is not a tutorial on how to edit videos. I'm sure if you type it in on YouTube, there will be a ton of teachers who can show you how to edit videos. And not only am I not one of them, but I've also never watched them myself. The way I edit right now is just the result of trial and error over a period of time. For those who are new to my channel, I've uploaded at least one video every single week for the last 43 consecutive weeks. And so for that reason, that's why I've been able to get a little bit better at editing. When I started this crazy journey in terms of making all this content, I did and still do have a full-time job. So what that means is that YouTube takes up most of my free time, which is fine because I love to do it. I love to talk about anime specifically. But anyway, my advice is just that if you don't want to watch tutorials like, the same way that I don't, then just experiment around. Don't be afraid to try new things from week to week, and you will definitely see progress. I can guarantee it. Starting with the audio side of things, I currently record each video with a pseudo-track microphone, which I managed to get for £51, which roughly translates to $62 for my American viewers. I was checking earlier this week and the price has now risen slightly, but it's still around that $60 to $70 range. But in my opinion, it's a really good microphone for the price, and I've never really considered replacing it as I feel it does the job well. I record my videos on Final Cut Pro using this microphone, and sometimes in the past you guys have said that my audio isn't loud enough, which is probably the only complaint that I've ever had about it. And most of the time what I do now is I'll just record the video like I'm doing right now, and then after it's done I'll crank up the audio, and since I've started doing that, no one's really complained about the volume, so I'm assuming it's okay, but if it's not, then please do let me know in the comments below. Also, any music you've heard in my videos is directly from the free YouTube music library. They have a ton of different songs and sound effects for virtually anything you can think of, and everything there is completely royalty free, so you literally can use it in whatever video or content you make, and no one's gonna, strike you down or send you an email. Like, it's all completely free, so if you want to be on the safe side, then that's definitely what you should use. And in terms of audio, that is actually pretty much it. I mean, this is the microphone that I use, and this is the music that I use. I mean, there's not really much more to it than that. But moving on, in terms of basic visuals, like I said, Final Cut Pro is what I use to edit, and due to the sheer amount of just content, pictures, videos, all this stuff that I use in a typical video, most of my projects end up looking like what you currently see on screen. Throughout the video, I'll use a lot of effects which can be found over here in Final Cut Pro, and in between clips, I'll typically use transitions which can be found over here. Again, if you want to learn about how to use this stuff in action, then there are many tutorials out there, but for the most part, I think you'll find it quite straightforward once you get started. Final Cut Pro comes with a ton of effects, so if you're not picky, then I'm sure there'll be something for whatever you're thinking of. But in my case, I was using them for a while and I got a bit bored, so I bought 2 additional plugins that I've purchased for Final Cut, and these were made by a company called Pixel Film Studios. The main thing that I bought from them that I use the most often is the Cartoon Mega Pack, and this allows me to do epic hand-drawn transitions like this one and that one, but not to mention you get random effects that aren't really transitions, they're just things you can throw in the video anywhere. And I've done this for about 2 months now, I reckon, 2 or 3 months, and I gotta say it was definitely worth the cost for me, as I basically use it in every video that I've made since then. However, I'm not saying that this is something you need to get, because honestly, most of my videos on YouTube do not have any effects like this, and my channel will still able to grow, so I would say it's not necessary, but if you think it will add value, then yeah, definitely try it out. The other thing that I got from Pixel Studios was an audio visualizer package. What this allows me to do is that in certain videos, like the one you're currently watching, whenever I'm speaking, the audio that I'm saying is then visually represented on the screen. And I'm gonna be honest, I do not use this often. The only time I really use it is when I'm doing collaborations with other YouTubers, so it kind of like shows you who's talking on screen. I think this video right here is the only time that I've used it when it's just me in the video. So it's not something, again, none of this stuff is necessary, but I thought I'd let you guys know in case you were interested in using it yourself. A funny story about this package was that after I bought it, I realized that there was an audio visualizer 2 on their website. So like I bought the old defunct version when they already had a brand new part 2 version, and I didn't even see it at all, which was really annoying when I first bought this. But on this website right now, at least when I recorded this video, the audio visualizer pack 1 and pack 2, they were the same price. So if I was you, I'd probably get the second pack, which seems to be more updated and have cooler things to it. I don't know if I will personally be buying the second pack because I don't really use this too often, like I said. But yeah, I would just say if you're going to buy it, do not make my mistake. As far as equipment goes, that's basically everything there is to know, with the exception of one important thing. And that is, of course, the hub that brings everything together, which is my 2015 MacBook Pro, which is now probably on its last legs because it just runs out of battery way too fast. But I still, I quite like it. It's very sturdy, it does the job. And crucially, Final Cut Pro only works on Apple devices as far as I know, because Apple are the ones who make it. One thing I would like in the comments, if you have a PC, I would like someone to just let me know what is the best alternative to Final Cut Pro for PC users, because I honestly can't tell you, but I'm sure someone in the comments will know. I've been using Final Cut Pro since about November, and it was actually a really interesting case study, right? Because when I used Final Cut Pro for the first time, that video which I made was my first ever video to get 6 figures. Before then, I think my highest video was 10,000 views, and once I made a video on Final Cut Pro, it got 6 figures like pretty much within a week, and then the video after that got 6 figures, and then I think this happened like 3 or 4 times in a row. Like I just got 4 or 5 6-figure videos. I'm not saying this was entirely down to Final Cut Pro, of course, but I mean, you gotta admit that correlation is pretty crazy. Maybe I just say invest in the best software that you can for editing, because I think people respond really well to good visual, I don't want to say effects, but good visual editing, because I was able to do a lot more on Final Cut Pro than I was on my previous software, which we don't speak about anymore, but it wasn't very good. The final thing that I'm going to mention is the process that I use to make videos. So firstly, I'll record the audio on Final Cut Pro using my pseudo-track microphone, and then after that's done, I'll cut it up to remove anything that I don't want, which includes bloopers or just, blank space where I'm thinking about stuff. So it forms a pretty coherent audio track, but it's not the complete video just yet, because once that's done, I'll add the different visuals like the pictures and the videos and the transitions and all the effects and everything. And usually whilst I'm doing that, I'll realize that there are certain parts of the audio that I should cut, which I didn't realize the first time around. So that's always a good, this is kind of like the refining part of the process. And once all that's done, you got all the visuals, all the audio, that's when I basically have my completed video. Usually I'll add the music after all this is done, and I turn it down to -40 decibels, and then I check over my audio once again just to make sure everything's good. Oh yeah, and I crank up the sound on my on the audio that I recorded with just a little bit, just to make it a bit louder. Once that file is ready, I just do what you see on screen. I just export it, and once that's exported, I send it to my phone actually, because one thing that I do typically is I upload videos from my phone. For some reason, it's just always way faster than doing it on the computer, and I have no idea why, but it just always seems to work. So that's just my ritual at this point. I'm sure there's no science to it, but yeah, that's just what works for me. If this video has been helpful to you in any way, then do be sure to give it a like, and the links to everything that I've mentioned today are in the description, so you can buy the mic, you can buy Final Cut Pro, you can, I'm not going to link to the MacBook because I don't even think they sell it anymore, and if you want to get the one that I have, which I don't know why you would, but you can check on eBay or something like that. I'm sure there's many people trying to sell it. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure to sub to the channel as well, because we are still on that road to 100k. Peace out.